All right, and we are back here at Western New York Gaming. I'm Tom Davis, alongside the smiling Ryan Dunn, because we get to cover a finals match.
Yep.
There was a brief negotiation on a split. The player who offered it, the other player did not accept it, so we are playing for the invite and all the glory that comes with it. On the left, we're going to have Jeremy Izzio one more time on Affinity. On the right, we are going to have John Tatian on Infect. And Ryan, we were talking a little bit before you came on that you think Infect's pretty favored here.
I do. He's also on the play, which is really important in this matchup.
Yeah, he was first seed going in. He's going to be first seed going out.
Yep.
And he will be on the play against Affinity here. So both players are getting shuffled up.
And yeah, so looking at the main decks here, Affinity has very, very little interaction.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 Galvanic Blasts, and that's actually it.
That's it.
So if John has an evasive threat, like a Blighted Agent or a creature with Distortion Strike, he's going to be able to just punch in and win in one turn.
As long as he has protection.
Yeah, win all at once.
Yep.
And my point is that it's possible that he might not even need protection.
Sure.
Like he might not
unless
even
he
need
has
a
the
Binds of
Gal Blast in
Basswood.
hand.
Right.
He has to have it. He can't tutor for
So
it.
it's possible that John might choose to not even respect the possibility of the Gal Blast if he has a turn 2 or 3 kill.
Sure.
And also there's 4 Gataxian Probes in his deck, so there's a good chance he's going to just see if the coast is clear or not.
Sounds good. If you want to switch that to finals.
Oh, yeah. And with the exception of Gal Blast, Jeremy's plan is to just try to win as fast as possible because this is Modern.
Mm-hmm. This is Modern, where you don't care about interaction.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I think it's correct to build a lot of Modern decks where you just have a really focused game 1 plan.
Yep,
and
I agree.
You can,
and that's what we're seeing a lot in the meta.
You can shift your role slightly post board if you need to.
Yep. So a lot of these decks have to think who the beatdown really is.
Yeah, it's funny when you just get so many matchups in Modern where both decks are the beatdown.
Sure.
The expression is 2 ships passing and then...
All right, so Twitch chat, who do you think's going to win? If you think Team Infect is going to win with the side of John Tashian, just put a hashtag Team Infect. If you think Jeremy Izzio is going to win, put Team Robots. Looks like Jeremy stepped away maybe to use the restroom real quick.
John. So we have 1 vote for Infect.
One vote for Infect,
John.
1 vote for Jund. I hate to break it to you, Sneaky. I don't think you're going to win.
Well, okay, so... Jund, let's see.
Affinity's kind of like Jund.
Well, if
Its removal spells are 1 for 1.
Affinity has a black card and a red card. Does it have a green card, does it?
No.
Is there any?
Nope.
I mean, like...
Ancient Grudge kind of.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if Ancient Grudge counts.
No, it doesn't. It's red.
Oh, there's not a single green anything.
Nope.
There is. I mean, there's black and red. That's close.
Yeah.
Alright, what about Infect? I mean, there's
blue green white. It's
well,
banned.
there's a Dismember, which
That's
I'm
black.
counting, but that's also
An Apostle's Blessing.
and then Nature's Claim and all. I mean, obviously the green stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 4 color.
I mean, I was saying I wish the Affinity deck had Nature's Claim because then
Then we could actually call it
then
Jund.
would be Jund. So they're both missing a color, right?
Yep.
Oh God! Can somebody just run a Gut Shot and infect once so we can call it Jund? Card's great.
It's actually really good against Affinity.
Card's nutso.
All right, so it looks like Jeremy's getting back to his seat. Again, John is going to get the choice to play or draw here in the finals, which is quite advantageous for the Infect player.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, game 1 is basically a race, so
yeah.
Going first is awesome.
Yep, not to mention that Jeremy has very little ways to interact with a lot of John's creatures, particularly ones that are unblockable.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see what happens. Both players are shuffling up. We'll be with the match in just a second. Team Realm Raiser. There you go.
Yeah, I gotta vote for Team Realm Raiser. That's me.
Alright. I hate to break it to you.
Alright, Fact or Fiction. Realm Raiser is the best card in Modern.
Fiction.
Alright, so Blood Moon's like good in Modern, right?
It's alright.
And Flame Tongue Kavu is so good that they like can't print it in Modern, right? It's like not Modern legal.
You're correct.
Yeah, so Realm Razor is a Flame Tongue Kavu, but instead of killing a creature, it just kills everyone's lands instead. Like, the card's insane. It's probably the most underplayed powerful card in Modern. For those of you who have not seen the glorious Realm Razor, I'll just pull that up real quick. Yeah, so it's 3 red, green, white for a beast. It's a 4/2, like Flame Tongue Kavu. When it comes into play, you remove all lands from the game. When it leaves play, you return them. But if you have a Viscera Seer, you just cord up this bad boy and then sack it in response to triggers. So all the lands come back, but then all the lands are gone, and they're gone forever. And you have a 4/2, so you just attack them with it, and the game's over.
So strong.
All right.
Is that just going to be the battlefield for this match? Just going to leave Realm Razor there?
There we go.
Jesus. Realm Razor too strong.
Now let's see some opening hands.
Alright. Let's see some cards that aren't Realm Razor.
Alright, we got Protection Spell, a turn 1 elf.
3 Ink Moths?
2 Ink Moths, it looks like, and a lot of lands.
So 4 lands.
With the exception of like the flyer, there's no evasion in this hand. But
also no evasion from Jeremy.
With a Noble Hierarch and like 1 pump spell, I think I'd keep this hand.
Yeah.
I mean, you really want to see a Blighted Agent, but
you'll take what you can get.
This is like one of the better hands you can have without a Blighted Agent, so I just keep it.
Especially with John knowing that Jeremy can't interact with him too much.
Yeah.
Especially in the air.
Oh man, I have this thing up again. So yeah, so obviously this match just started, so it's 1-1. We actually can't see that part of the overlay, so it's easy to forget.
It's 1-1?
It's 0-0. I mean, it's 1-1 best of 5. Is another way to put it. I mean, it's the wrong way to put it, but it's functionally the same.
Alright, so there is a turn 1 Glistener Elf.
Smart.
Looks like I'm seeing Cranial Plating, Steel Overseer, Glimmer Void, Signal Pest, Memnite, Springleaf Drum, Blinkmoth Nexus.
Yeah, so fortunately, thanks to the Noble Hierarch, this Memnite's not going to get in the way too much. John's going to be able to swing in with the Exalted trigger.
There's the drum.
Making his Glistener Elf when in combat.
Oh, Arcbound Ravager. I'm sorry, I said something wrong.
So yeah, it's a Plating, a Ravager, a Signal Pest, a Glimmer Void. And
yeah, I had some cards wrong there. Vault Scourge, Cranial Plating, Ravager, Signal, Pest, Glimmer Void.
Life gain is not very relevant in this match.
Flying, however, is.
I mean, we have seen that John is willing to attack people's life total successfully.
Correct. He's done it a couple times today.
Oh yeah. So I kind of. Yeah, so he's leading with a breeding. If he's going with a breeding pool here, it's because he wants to hold up Vines of the Vastwood.
Yep, looks like he's going to do that and go down to 18.
I fetched.
Jeremy's also at 18, by the way.
Yeah, I got it. And, right, so obviously, like I said, the benefit of doing this is you're holding up Vines of the Vastwood. The downside of it is you don't have Inkmoth Nexus in play ready to attack.
Sure.
Interesting. He's
choosing to block with Vault Scourge. So he's going to gain a life.
There was no way Jeremy was going to die. Well, okay, I take that back. He could die to, like, Groundswell, Double Mutagenic Growth. It's extremely unlikely. So that's a pretty aggressive block. He's really trying to protect his...
Jeremy's at 19.
He's really trying to protect his, I don't know what, his poison counter total.
His not dying?
Yeah. Remember that not having poison counters is a resource. Right?
Clearly.
Ooh, what if Aether Revolt lets you use poison counters as energy? In fact, it would be really bad.
Chat can't see it right now, but I'm just shaking my head at Ryan after that comment. Although energy as a mechanic is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a little bit like mana that doesn't empty your pool. And you get it different ways, so it's actually not like mana at all.
It's just we Pokemon now.
Oh yeah.
Arcbound Ravager to play here from Jeremy.
Yeah, so this is going to make any chump blocks a lot better.
Yep.
So this is kind of a situation where John, I mean, based off of what happened here, John might wish that he had an Inkmoth in play. Because, interestingly, like, the Vault Scourge... man.
Might have Old Crows to the draw there for John.
Yeah, I don't know if John expected that Vault Scourge to jump in front of the Glistener Elf either. A Mightable Curse is not gonna do much.
I think you have to play the Ink Moth here now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Ink Moth. I see. Yeah, so I expect an attack here. It's gonna take a lot of resources to deal with it.
I like what John's doing here is waiting to see what he's going to block with before devoting the resources to keeping Glistener Elf alive.
Even he had the Ravager too. Like if he held off a turn with a Vault Scourge, he'd be able to block and then sack it to Ravager.
I still think he just wanted to make sure he wasn't just dead. Alright, so activating Blink Moth Nexus here. Is going to sack itself to Blink Moth Nexus.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but if they go to damage, the modular does happen, right?
Yeah.
Because it has both types of counters on it when it dies, and the counters didn't have a chance to knock each other off yet.
As long as damage is dealt.
I think John was asking if they went to damage or not, but it actually doesn't matter. It's just kind of unintuitive in a way. But.
Yep. No, you're right. Alright, so Jeremy's going to play an Ink Moth Nexus of his own. Wouldn't be surprised if we see the Cranial Plating get down here. Signal Pest to open up.
Fortunately, Signal Pest is real bad on defense, but it might let Jeremy form a little bit of offense. It's also really tough to attack with a Signal Pest in the face of an Ink Moth Nexus or really any 1/1 flyer. And
Going to tap both flyers here.
We don't have the Ravager anymore, which is
for Cranial Plating. So Signal Pest.
Yes, the Signal Pest
can't block.
I mean, the Signal Pest can slap a plating on the. Oh, no equip.
No equip. Doesn't have the mana for it. Oh no, he does. He has Springleaf Drum. Yep.
I think he's representing. I think he's doing this to represent Gaublast, which is reasonable.
Sure. But if you're John, you just go for it anyway.
You have a backup Ink Moth.
Yeah.
And it looks
I don't think
like,
you want to. He has Pendlehaven too.
It looks like he has a lot of pump spells too. So I think with this hand,
I think you go for it.
I don't think he has enough pump spells to go for it and have it backfire. Yeah, I think if he plays this slow game, he's going to be able to win anyway.
Okay. Well, we'll see what he does.
Yeah, like obviously he has to worry about this cranial plating, but
yeah,
his life total is pretty high. And Jeremy's in a position where he does need to lead creatures back on defense.
John in a tank a bit while he's thinking about his play.
Because if Jeremy uses mana on his turn, he's not going to have any flyers back to block.
Correct.
And it looks like he only has... I think he has 2 Vines as a pump spell. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just saw an Ink Moth attacking in for 3 thanks to Pendlehaven and Noble Hark. And then possibly a follow-up Glistener Elf.
Sure. I can see that.
Because that allows him to play around Vines.
I'm very much an all-in player here.
I mean, it allows him to play around Vines with the Basswood. God, it allows him to play around Gaublast by holding up Vines, which he's been doing since the early turns of the game.
Looks like Joe Steed's looming over to encourage John to play a little faster.
Make a decision here. Okay. I mean, this works out because the cranial plating is not equipped to anything. So there can only be chump blocks.
Alright, so Mem Knight bites the dust.
Really, really respecting the possibility of just having a lethal get presented. The problem is he's losing a lot of resources to do it.
Yeah.
Like, in a way, he's kind of chump blocked with 3 creatures.
He's hedging to get a Galvanic Blast, which he hasn't gotten yet.
The only thing he's gotten out of these 3 chump blocks is a counter on his Blink Moth Nexus.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has a Thopter. That's
reasonable.
Like, Thopter would have been also good to block with a Raptor.
He can also just swing with 2 Ink Moth now.
Yeah, and so, like, this attack... John can just take this if he wants, or he can just go ahead and block. And
so, if he just takes it, it's up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 infect more. So he'd be at 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's actually up to 8, I believe.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm only counting 6 creatures.
Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts.
Yep.
The Signal Pest I was counting for Battlecry, but that's not tapped. And then I was counting the power from the Ink Moth and
I missed Signal Pest.
So if he animates the Blink Moth like I think he is going to, then it's 7. So he's just... Oh, wait. That's not being animated. So I think it's just 6. Because that Signal Pest was tapped to Springleaf Drum and is not attacking. So this Blink Moth, unless Jeremy has a... Well, see, now Jeremy's not representing... I guess I have to see what
He's
his
still
last card
representing
is.
a blocker.
Yeah, but he's not representing
Galblast.
Galblast anymore,
Correct.
which is peculiar.
So he's safe there.
So if John wants to, he can fire this blocker, but I don't think it's really necessary.
I don't think it's necessary. He's not dead. I think just opens the door for him to attack more.
I think both plays are really reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really unlikely that if he needs to, he should be able to block less next turn. I can't think of
Correct.
many ways where he would not be able to do that. Like, there's a possibility of like a Gear per Aether Grid being able to shoot down his Ink Moths, but
May not be post-board anyway.
like yeah, right. Yeah. No, I think somebody had one in the main.
He has one side. He
Okay,
doesn't have
sorry.
one main.
Yeah. Jeremy's
Jeremy's
the
deck
one
is
that has
very
one in the
linear.
main.
Alright, so it looks like John opted to take 6 Infect there.
Yeah. So John's at 6 Infects. You can see that green die there.
He's going to, second main phase, equip the Cranial, maybe.
That's... The Springleaf Drum's tapped, right?
Yes, it is.
Because he had to go animate equip.
Yep. Drum. I think John just pointed it out, actually.
Yeah, they just caught it.
Yep.
Because that'd be really convenient to have untapped.
If he has a Galblast to hand, which he doesn't, but
I don't know. This play doesn't make sense to me because he's been representing Galblast almost every turn, and now there's just
no, he's suddenly not.
There's just a stranded Blink Moth Nexus that could have also animated to deal it damage.
Yeah, it looks like he's roll shifting at the wrong time.
I just don't think that this Blink Moth should be. I think this Blink Moth should have either activated to present one more damage with cranial plating, or the Springleaf Drum should be untapped right now.
Yep. Also, we were asked to change the title to Finals. If we didn't already. That was from Rob, Nick.
And it's there.
Yeah, okay. We just wanted to make sure. So a lot of attacks here. Pump with the Vines of Vastwood on the
So
first
is this
Listener Elf.
just,
Pumped on the second one.
Is this just a double? I was looking away for a split second. Was it double vines? That's lethal, right?
Double Vines hit lethal there.
Yep.
So John
John
Tatian
just-
taking game 1.
John just didn't have to respect Galblast at all there.
Nope. Jeremy closed the door on that, and John.
The
pushed
nice thing
through.
about even if Jeremy had Galblast there, he could have kicked vines on one of the elves,
Sure.
let it resolve, and then kicked vines on the same one.
Yep.
So then Jeremy would be forced to shoot down the other elf and still take 9 and probably be dead.
Probably the next turn. Yeah.
Yeah. So we could take a look at the sideboards now.
All right. So taking a look at the affinity list from Jeremy, we have 2 Whip Flares, 2 Thought Seizes, 2 Moretz Champions, 2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Spell Pierce, and 1 each of Dismember, Spellskite, Grafdigger's Cage, Graph for Aether Grid, Jira for however you pronounce that, and 1 Blood Moon. I think
Well,
Blood Moon is actually kind of reasonable here.
Yeah, Blood Moon comes in a lot against Infect.
Yep.
You know, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. It's best when it's backed up by removal, so you can shoot down the
Sure.
noble hierarchs.
Spellskite's a snap inclusion here.
Yeah, I agreed. But since there's only 4 hierarchs, trying to mise with Blood Moon's pretty reasonable.
Sure.
It also it has the double benefit of really messing with their mana badly, and
Yeah.
also shutting down Inkmoth, obviously.
Yep.
And Inkmoth in the Infect deck is more. I would argue that Inkmoth in the Infect deck is more important than Blinkmoth and Inkmoth in the Affinity deck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a net gain losing out on the manlands.
Sure. Ancient Grudge, I think, comes in here against Inkmoths.
Yeah, so let's see. We got Spellskite.
Spellskite,
Aether
Ancient
Grid.
Grudge.
So Spellskite, Aether Grid, Blood Moon,
Ancient Grudge.
and I personally like Thoughtseize and Whip Flare.
I like it too because your life total is more of a resource and less of a threat to lose more.
Yeah, and like Whip Flare can can vary like easily 2-for-1. The
Sure.
only issue
Is
is
he
that
can
like,
pump in response.
and like Pendlehaven also pumps you out of
Yep.
whip flare range.
Yep.
Similar to a
Because Pendlehaven's +1/+2.
Pyroclasm.
Correct.
Yep. And you just have to be careful about overboarding in this matchup because you still do have to be proactive. So I think we just named like 7 cards. Most of them were colored.
Yep.
So those all can't come in, but some mix of them will.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you think? What do you think goes out?
Oh, what do I think go? All right. So there's kind of like a lot of discussion that goes on. I personally like Master of Ethereum more than Edge Champion in this matchup. I think Master of Ethereum presents a much faster clock and also lets your flyers win in combat against Inkmoth.
I think that's Champion's bad in this match.
Yeah, I think it's very slow.
Yeah, I don't think you're blocking with that Champion at all, and at best you're swinging for 2 plus any buffs.
Yeah, so I like shaving those.
I would shave the Edge Champions.
I like shaving some number of Vault Scourge. They're still good. Like, they're decent blockers, especially. But they're like it's like one of the cards that loses the most value in the matchup.
Sure. Looks like John's thinking about taking out
I also like cutting
some number of Commences here.
I like shaving Signal Pest sometimes because there's a lot of you get to a lot of game states where you have to leave a lot of stuff back.
Yeah.
And Signal Pest really only shines when you're alpha striking.
Yep.
So I like shaving some number of those creatures.
Sure.
And I mean, obviously, Gal Blast is not like negotiable. You have to keep in every copy.
Oh yeah. Looking over at John's sideboard, he does have the 3 copies of Kitchen Finks if he wants to bring him in for some life gain. Nature's Claim I think is an auto include against Ink Moths and almost any other artifact in his deck. Grafdigger's Cage we can probably skip. Spellskite's reasonable. I don't think it's required. Spell Pierce probably not needed. Dispel maybe needed against Gal Blast. Distortion Strike and Dismember.
I like Spell Pierce a little bit because it hits some of the like hate cards, but yeah, like the cards I'm really obviously looking to bring in are the Nature's Claims, the Dismember, and the Distortion Strike.
Yeah.
The Distortion Strike's critical because evasion is one of the most important things in this matchup.
Yeah. So
having like another pseudo Blighted Agent is awesome.
Sure.
If you can find a room for it, you can start thinking about the Spell Pierces.
Sure. Nazor, to answer your question, there were no decks with Eldritch Evolution in the top 8. The top 8 consisted, I think, entirely of Affinity, Infect, and red-green Breach Titan of some sort. I think that's right. So both players shuffling up to get ready for game number 2 here of the finals. Once again, for those of you watching on Twitch, thank you for taking some of your time this afternoon to watch our finals and the rest of our tournament. We know there's a lot of other good Magic coverage that you could be watching. So we thank you for tuning in. I'm Tom Davis. Alongside me is Ryan Dunn. We're in the finals, game 2 of potentially 3 here at Western New York Gaming for a PPTQ 4 Pro Tour Dublin.
Yep. And for those of you who have been watching a lot of the coverage, I think the theme of the day is
interesting lines of play.
Interesting lines, as we like to put it. So if you have not been to a PPTQ before, you should try to come out because they're pretty fun. They're obviously like more competitive than F&M,
Yeah,
but they're
definitely.
still pretty like friendly, entry level-ish competitive tournaments for this level.
And it can get you on the Pro Tour.
Oh yeah.
Ryan's tried a few times.
Oh, I sure have.
Came close a few times.
Yep.
Got that participation playmat.
Yep. So one of the main reasons that I'm casting today is because I've won the PPTQ for the season so far.
Hashtag humble brags.
That's just like regular brags.
And I'm casting
now in
because I'm
7 of these bad boys.
and I'm
still
casting
haven't
because I
paid
am
for the PC.
awful at Modern. And I usually judge these things. So why not come out today and enjoy a little bit of casting?
It's funny. I've won 2 of these with Affinity,
Okay.
and I don't think the deck is like as well positioned right now as it has been in the past. It's like up and down.
Sure. So both players debating their opening 7. Jeremy will be on the play here.
Ah, man, I wish we got the Lantern control deck. I actually like love.
Looks like
Decks
Jeremy
like that.
has a copy of Ancient Grudge. Yep, looks like he has a copy of Ancient
That is
Grudge.
certainly an Ancient Grudge.
Dismember, Mox Opal, Blink Moth Nexus, Steel Overseer, 2 Steel Overseers, 3 Steel Overseers.
Okay. Wait, does this hand do anything? This hand doesn't do anything. This is a non-functional hand. He can't cast a spell, right?
Correct. Well, now he can. He had Dismember that he could have cast.
Oh, gotcha. But like, right, so
Had
like,
the land, always had the land.
If he didn't draw this land, he wouldn't be able to cast any of his artifacts, so like the Mox Opal wouldn't be turned on?
Correct. Steel Overseer number 1 hits play.
Oof, man. This would have been a really quick finals match if he didn't draw the Inkmoth Nexus.
Oh, yeah. John, going to get a breeding pool going down to 19 here. I think that was 3 Steel Overseers. It was certainly 2.
I mean, is it certainly 2? I know there's a Spellskite in there, which is, I mean, one of
it was 2 Overseer and Spellskite.
I'm sure that's one of the reasons why Jeremy kept his hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like Overseer is the far left card in his hand. Spellskite's third. Noble Hierarch to play from John. Going to pass back.
It's like one of those hands where I would like keep it and then never draw a land and then have to come up with an excuse for why I kept the hand.
It looks like Cranial Planing was the draw off the top.
Yeah, I mean, I think this Spellskite might be coming down.
I wouldn't be surprised. Although you could in theory wait a turn because there's no infect threat.
This could be the old like turn 2 smash with Steel Overseer.
Go for
Which
it.
you don't see very often. Mostly because it's
boom.
Woo!
Getting in with the Steel Overseer.
I don't this oh man, what is happening? I was joking. Can he hear me from here? We're like in another room.
We're like 50 feet away from them. There's Spellskite. John's gonna go to 17.
Is there a Stony Silence in play? I don't see it.
John will go to 17 after the highly effective attack with Steel Overseer.
After the smash, right?
Yep, gonna go to 16.
Wait, so I think he's at 17 now. Fetch 1 from Steel Overseer.
Oh, it's a 1/1. You're right.
I
can't math. I'm so not used to seeing Overseer attack. I usually don't think about its power.
Maybe he just like went to activate it and then they just like forgot where they were in the turn. And
sure.
John's like, "I'll take 1." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh. Alright, so the draw was a Wooded Foothills for John. I don't think he wants to see any more lands that aren't Inkmoth Nexus.
Maybe no. Maybe I've been playing Affinity wrong all this time. And I'm just supposed to smash for 1 with Steel Overseer?
Every time. So Jeremy's in a good spot here with Spellskite in play.
I mean, yeah. Ooh.
Cool. Getting aggressive. Ooh. Dismembering the Noble Hierarch.
I mean, that's reasonable. I don't hate it. Because, maybe I do hate it. No, I think it's fun. He's, like, pretty confident. So the issue here is that John's, like, going to be really tempted. He can Apostle's Blessing.
He has Spell Pierce.
He's going to Apostle's Blessing. Yeah, that's way better.
Okay.
He's not going to take any damage either.
Sure. That's fair.
And, yeah, so Apostle's Blessing can only target your own creatures. And that's way better than firing off a Spell Pierce because, like, he's going to want to pop off a Cranial Plating if one of those comes down.
Sure.
Or even, like, a Gallblast. I expect if a Plating comes down, we will see that get Spell Pierced.
Absolutely.
That's a threat that he's not going to be able to deal with, and John doesn't have a particularly fast draw here. Do you think this Steel Overseer is going to attack this turn?
I think it's likely.
There's, like, no way, right?
I think it's likely.
Oh.
Play Plating. Attach it.
Please equip this to the Spellskite and just get some counters on your guys. I want to see some big robots.
Hashtag Team Overseer.
I mean, we jokingly call this deck Turbo. Yeah, so here comes the Spell Pierce. We jokingly call this deck Turbo Counters when we're sick of playing Affinity. Because, I mean, it's like, you just put a bunch of counters in your dudes. You could slap a Hardened Scales in there. Get some Arcbound Workers that we're cooking with gas.
I prefer Charcoal.
You can, like, turn 2 kill. If you go like turn 1, like Hardened Scales, Opalsome Memnites, and you like play like an Archon Work or whatever, and you play like a Ravager and just kill them with Inkmoth Nexus.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Hardened Scales is like a messed up card sometimes.
Sometimes.
Alright, I don't know what's happening right now.
Looks like the animated
Oh,
Inkmoth Nexus.
he didn't actually go for the Spell Pierce, my bad.
Oh, he's not attacking. That's the worst.
Ooh, so he played the plating and then
What?
oh, okay, he just animated the Inkmoth.
Yeah, to activate it with Steel Overseer.
Yeah, but like, what is this? Is he going to? Okay, he's gonna equip the Spellskite and attack, right?
No,
What is he doing with this?
I don't know.
What is he doing with this Mox Opal then?
Don't know. Maybe he's representing Galvanic Blast? Or any colored removal?
I mean, he has a Spellskite in play that
Pretty much does the job.
The dude would, John would need like so much.
There's the attack with Inkmoth Nexus for 2 right now.
Also, it's like so valuable in this matchup to get a counter on Spellskite right away. Like,
yeah.
a counter should have been on that Spellskite on turn 2, because then it can't get Twisted Imaged, which is the best way Infect has to deal with a Spellskite. Like, it just kills. So for those of you who don't know, Twisted Image it costs blue, and it switches a creature's power and toughness, and you draw a card. So Spellskite becomes a 4/0 and just dies, and you draw a card. It's like very, very good.
Well, now it'll become a 4/1. Or a 5/1.
Bang.
Glimmer Void. Jeremy working with a bunch of mana.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm having a lot of trouble predicting Jeremy's lines, so I'm just gonna look over to John here. He's got a Might of Old Krosa. I mean, John's hand, like, his Spellskite, it's really shutting him down.
Yeah, John's hand is insane against anything but Spellskite.
Fortunately, he does have the Hierarch, so he's able to at least go for 2 at a time.
I'm gonna activate Inkmoth Nexus here. Probably put plating on it. We'll see if he does it this time.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised John didn't shoot
Activate
that
Overseer.
Yeah, Nick. John. Oh wait, maybe is it a Dispel? Maybe I saw the wrong card. Maybe
It looks like Spell
He was
Pierce.
thinking about Spell Piercing it, right? Like, I'm pretty sure it was Spell Pierce.
Yeah.
And I don't think he would have Dispel post board. Yeah, I'm just surprised.
He might have it.
I'm surprised he didn't.
Depending on...
If it is a Spell Pierce, I'm surprised he didn't go for.
I mean, he could play Dispel if he wants to respect Galvanic Blast.
All right, so Jeremy can do like make a spicy play here, where he's not equipping. Well, what he could have done was like gone for an instant speed equip on the Inkmoth, and then if anything bad happens, he can just redirect it to Spellskite.
Sure.
And crunch in for like a bunch of damage.
So Jeremy crashes in for 3 Infect there.
But neither of those. Okay, so this time now Jeremy's holding up. Okay, so Jeremy's holding up Ancient Grudge.
Yep.
And also he gets to
attach the cranial plating.
Yeah, he gets to instant speed, attach the cranial plating end of turn if he doesn't need to use it.
Yep.
But again, I'm not sure how necessary.
I get a Dryad Arbor here.
I'm not sure how necessary like playing that defensively is when you do have a Spellskite in play that can't get it can't get Twisted Imaged and it can't get Dismembered now. So John like literally needs. John needs a removal spell that would like be able to just kill the plating if otherwise. So
yep.
I think just like getting aggressive is good here.
Alright, so John at 13 and 3 Infect draws his card for turn. It's a Windswept Heath. More lands.
Still, yeah, no answer to this Spellskite.
That is a Spell Pierce that he had, by the way.
Yeah. Certainly is.
Definitely just saw it.
Yeah, so the problem here is like John has, oh man, this is rough. So John can get safely 2 damage in here, but then he doesn't have any way to block the Inkmoth on the way back. He could go for the old like the old razzle dazzle where you cast it. Oh, never mind. He doesn't have any more pump spells. So
I want to hear about the old razzle
he has a
dazzle.
Mightable Croesus. So the old razzle dazzle that sometimes works is you just really confidently cast Vines of the Vastwood on your opponent's spellskite, and then you cast a pump spell on your own guy. And if they're not familiar with the way spellskite works, they might think that they can no longer redirect your spells to spellskite because you cast Vines on it.
Instead of
And like Vines has really weird wording.
Yeah.
So sometimes they just won't try.
The old
And then
razzle dazzle.
you can win the game even though they could save themselves on spellskite.
Neat. There's might.
Oh. Alright, so this is bad for John because what's going to happen here is... Well, I don't know why Jeremy's going for this in response to might, but it doesn't really matter. So... Oh, he's... Okay.
Paying 2 to redirect spell
Okay, so... Yeah, I mean, he just super telegraphed the grudge, but that's probably not that big of a deal.
Jeremy
so
is at 14.
John was just kind of testing the waters there to see if he could get away with resolving a pump spell on his creature. And it actually kind of paid off because he just got valuable information about Jeremy's hand.
Sure.
So John knows that Jeremy has a removal spell because he just went to tap 2 mana. It wasn't even like tapping 1 mana to redirect a spellskite. So John's probably thinking like, what is that 2 mana for?
There's the spell pierce. Now's as good a time as any.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be the pierce. Might be missing. Oh, he's going for kick vines. What in the world? He might just be trying to like see if Jeremy messes something up here. Okay, it didn't work.
Okay. Jeremy will go to 12. Then he's going to spell pierce it.
Right. So he is just trying to figure out if he can slip.
Now it's completely tapped out at 13. What damage are we looking at here?
I believe this is a 2. Yeah, so Jeremy's up to 4 poison.
I mean on the crackback from Jeremy.
Okay, on the crackback from Jeremy, it's 1,
Up to
2, 3, 4.
Does he
5,
have it on
6,
infect?
7, 8, 9.
Could
Yes, this is lethal.
This is lethal on infect, correct?
Yes, this is lethal infect.
So activate 3 attach or a quick
It's
cranial
like way
plate and
more
swing.
than lethal. Yeah.
A little confused on what John was doing there. Unless he was just trying.
He was literally trying to see if he could slip something through, and if Jeremy like missequenced something. But Jeremy
knew.
Besides like telegraphing a little bit of information, which wasn't that big of a deal, he Jeremy did everything right.
Yep, cranial plating is equipped to the Inkmoth Nexus.
And we're counting to 10.
It's counting to 7.
We're counting to 7, so it's like
It's harder than counting to 10.
it's like real lethal. Yeah, there we go.
Yep, and John's going to pack it up.
Yeah, I was counting to 10. I didn't even have to do it.
Yep, the match is tied 1-1. We are going to game 3 of our finals here. Getting the most magic we can this afternoon. For everyone watching, I'm Tom. This is Ryan. Thanks for coming out and tuning in to our stream today. Brought to you by Western New York Gaming. This is a modern preliminary Pro Tour qualifier for Pro Tour Dublin. Jeremy Izzio on the left playing Affinity. John Tatian on the right playing Infect. Oh, time him out.
We'll be back shortly.
Yep.
Alright. So I'm back and we're just watching our players reevaluate their sideboard. It didn't look like anybody made any changes, which makes sense. I don't think there's any relevant boarding decisions between play and draw that are that important. Looks like John's either taking a break or asking a question. This is an interesting match. I think, and we lost both of our players. I think Affinity and in fact are the two decks that I've played most in Modern, just because they're really reliably good, and they're like pretty like quick and aggressive. They're really good decks for like smallish tournaments like this. We lost both of our players, Tom.
Oh. Well, good tournament.
Maybe they're trying to split again.
Not while I have a drink in my mouth. Oh man.
So since
You want to cut over real quick? Back to us while we're waiting for them to come back.
Yeah, there's just nothing. So Tom, since you're a judge, do you want to explain?
You're a judge too.
Do you want? Yeah, you're a level 2 judge.
You're right.
Do you want to explain how splits in like the last round of single elimination works?
Sure.
Or do you want to not explain it?
I mean, I can try to explain it and
Alright.
have Twitch chat yell at me about it. Alright, so at the end of a single elimination tournament, when there are 2 players remaining, both players may openly discuss a split of the tangible prizes of the event, such that they're not using anything outside of the tournament.
Yep.
So, for instance, they can propose that instead of, in this case, the winner gets 200 cash, second place gets 50 credit, and then the winner gets the invite. They can propose that the winner would get, say, 100 cash and 25 credit, as would second place, and then the winner would get the invite. Or they could say, you want to split it such that the winner just gets the invite and second place gets everything else.
Yep.
And then, without linking that to the outcome of the event, both players can agree to that. And then, based on that updated prize distribution, they can choose either to play out the match, or one player can concede.
Right. So the important thing is that when you're suggesting these splits, it should not have anything to do with whether or not a player wants to concede.
Yep. Generally, using if-then statements
Yep.
when you're discussing prize splits are very bad, such as, hey, if you split the prize like this, I'll concede to you. Or if you give me the invite, I will give you this. Those are bad.
So the split that I usually suggest for PPTQs is that first place gets the invite, which is kind of like what we're all here, what we're playing for, and second place gets all the prizes that first and second one get. So that way, if you get second place, you still walk away with like a lot of prizes and you feel good about it, and the winner still feels good about it. So it kind of like works better for both players.
Yep.
It also allows for if a player like doesn't actually care about the invite, they can concede if they want to. But I've agreed to this split like 4 or 5 times, and we've played the match out every time. So
Sure.
I really like that split doesn't like legitimately does not have to do with one player conceding to the other. It's just a split that feels better for both players.
It often will result in a concession of some sort, but it doesn't have to. So John's back in his seat, thinking about sideboarding for Game 3. Jeremy is still somewhere in the Aether.
And they're just chatting it up, having some drinks.
You know, casual untimed finals.
Yep.
We're still waiting to get our final game of the tournament underway. So what was your favorite part of the day? I'm going to guess it was all the interesting lines.
No, I think my favorite part, I just like watching the Titan Shift deck.
Mhm.
It's not a new deck, but I think it's like, exploded in popularity recently, and it's really sick just seeing it like get like 6 or 8
Sure.
Valka triggers kind of out of nowhere.
Sure. My favorite part of the day was probably... The Titan Breach decks were a nice refresher, because we did see just a lot of Infect and a lot of Affinity. But, I don't know, seeing as an evolution, like just seeing different flavors on that deck just, gets my creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
So, I tend to like any deck that runs Eldritch F.
Yeah, we didn't see any a lot of the Eldritch Evolution games, the Eldritch Evolution player really struggled to like get their stuff online.
We didn't really see a combo that successfully went off.
Yeah, I honestly think that the Naya deck is kind of way sweeter too.
Oh yeah, it
Like
is.
you get to play Keranos.
If you want to splash
Naya
blue.
splashing blue, yeah, that's what I meant. So you get to like play Keranos.
If you want to play
get,
black,
like,
you can play Anafenza. You can play War's
Pia
on
and
it.
Kieran Nalaar is like
P and
busted.
K is very good.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna bring us down to the match. I think our players are almost finished shuffling up.
Yep.
And we'll see the last hands of the day.
Potentially.
Oh man, got life totals.
Yeah, this is fair. 13 to 14. One person's life totals don't even matter.
Yeah, I think John would definitely not like that.
Just kill him first. All right, so John will be on the play for this game. Both players are now going to draw their opening 7.
Oh, boy.
Oh, come on, second
Lands?
land.
Yeah, he's like,
Ooh.
John's keeping us 100%.
Double probe ink moth. Do you keep this?
I mean, I don't, but John's going to.
No,
he
he's
didn't
not.
keep it.
He didn't keep
Yes,
it.
the disciplined mulligan.
Be greedy, John. Be greedy.
So we saw John keep a hand earlier today that had no infect creature and 2 git probes, which is a little better than that hand. And he kept that, and it backfired really badly. I think that one's a more defensible keep because he at least has some other stuff going on. You can
Sure.
like, develop your noble hierarchs, and then like
He did get very punished for it.
you can always just like win with normal damage, which is what he was trying to do. It's actually a
Sure.
really funny match. What round was that? Was it
That's
3?
round 1 or 2.
I think it was round 2 or 3 because
Sure.
Bob was. But anyway, they played a really really funny game too, where they fought over a Dryad Arbor for multiple turns, which I've never seen
Stack
before.
was really cluttered saving Dryad.
Yeah, I
Arbor.
think there were a total of like 6 spells targeting Dryad Arbors, and then spell pierces countering the spells targeting Dryad Arbor.
It was, as you would say, an interesting line.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you have to. If you're you like keep that hand, and if it doesn't pan out the way you want it to, you have to just kind of make the decision about whether or not you want to invest resources into the damage kill.
Not sure what's going on. It looks like John had his deck taken away.
Yeah, so we might be having. Oh. Okay. Might have just been like checking sleeves or something.
Okay.
This is a multi 6.
Yep.
This hand looks reasonable
Looks
already.
3 lands.
Yeah, but no.
G probe.
I don't know what the card in the back is, but there's no infect creature here. Yeah, it's a big
Become immense. Scrying straight to the bottom. John's going to start with a get probe going to 18.
So John like desperately wants to see an infect creature off the top here.
Jeremy's hand, Dismember, Spell Pierce, Cranial Plating, Springleaf Drum, Vault Scourge, Blink Moth Nexus, Glimmer Void.
So yeah,
Very good turn 2.
This hand's fine. Like,
Yep.
it has actually 2 disruptive elements and a Vault Scourge that can wear cranial plating.
The draw was a Vines of Vastwood.
Of course, John has this Nature's Claim, which is hopefully gonna kill. So like, John doesn't have perfect information.
Steel Overseer, the
for
draw.
long. So like, he doesn't know about the Steel Overseer, but he's probably going to Nature's Claim the cranial plating, if I had to guess, because
Yeah.
he got punished. He got punished for not spell piercing the first one last game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remembering that correctly.
Very punished, as in he died because of it.
I wonder if John is thinking about Blood Moon, which is a possibility. I personally wouldn't play around it here.
Mm-mm. You've seen his hand. Just go for the breeding pool. Or the Dryad Arbor. There we go.
Oh, he's thinking about it.
He was thinking about the Dryad Arbor.
Just get in for like 1 next turn.
Sure. Potentially more.
So Robnik, if you're still watching this in chat, when you main deck Dryad Arbor, do you board it out, or do you not have the ability to trim on lands?
Alright, so while we're thinking about that, John's going to play the Verdant Catacombs and just pass the turn back. Not what he wants to see on turn 2 as an Infect player.
Yeah, we're about to have two non-functional hands facing off against each other, which is pretty typical in Modern. Like, John Mulligan kept a hand with, like, a hate card, and now he's just hoping to draw an Infect creature.
This hand's pretty functional, actually.
I mean,
Steel Overseer's a thing.
Yeah, the Steel Overseer made it functional. It's not what John saw, though. So John saw a Vault Scourge and a Cranial Plating, and he just kills the Cranial Plating, and then nothing happens after that.
Sure. Tapping it for 1, 2, gonna play the plating. Gonna pass turn after that.
Yeah, Jeremy seems to always lead with the Cranial Plating. But it's good in this case because, I mean, it's the card John knows about.
Yep. Wants to keep as much hidden information hidden as possible.
Yeah. Though, to be honest, I don't know if I would... I don't know if I care if my opponent has to kill a Cranial Plating or a Steel Overseer. Like,
so why Dryad Arbor here?
Because he doesn't have... I mean, this is like the Boggle Dryad Arbor. Like, you just don't have a threat, you just might as well get a threat. He's land heavy.
Okay.
If he has enough pump spells, he might just... I mean, it just doesn't work against Vault Scourge is the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, he obviously has the Nature's Claim. If he wants to, like, go all in on Dryad Arbor and pump spells, he's going to have to get rid of this Vault Scourge. Getting rid of... Oh,
Blighted Agent.
Blighted Agent's exactly what he was looking for, basically.
So I think you play the Blighted Agent here, bring down Pendlehaven, and hold Nature's Claim for whenever he tries to attach it.
Yeah, this is... I'm trying to...
Actually, you could even just wait until he attacks.
I mean, if you
with
want to get...
creature.
Does he have a Vines? Yeah.
He has a Vines, but we have to remember Jeremy has a Spell Pierce in hand, which John should remember. He should know about
I
it.
did see the Spell Pierce. I mean, so the problem is he has Spell Pierce and Dismember, which is like
super awkward.
And obviously the mana to use it. I wonder, man. I wonder if John can like bait him into dismembering a Dryad Arbor. That doesn't seem realistic. Because like with the Vault Scourge in play, you're just never like you're not gonna use removal on a Dryad Arbor. Because Jeremy's just gonna gain a bunch of life next turn.
So I'm going to play out a Pendlehaven here.
It's going to have to tap with Breeding Pool first.
I'm going to play the Blighted Agent out.
Alright, so, I mean, Jeremy's probably loving the chance to get rid of this Blighted Agent right away because he knows that he can suspect that John hasn't had an Infect creature up to this point. John has played a lot of these games really conservatively, but against Affinity, like, you're definitely just playing your creature on... Well, I guess he probed and solved the Dismember, so it's conceivable that John would have waited.
So a potential thing that could happen here is he's going to do this. He's going to attack, and then he's going to play out a Steel Overseer.
I mean, that's insane for John. Like, it's
that's one
really
line.
Good.
That would be good for John. I think the smart play here is to just swing in with the Vault Scourge and leave up the other mana.
So this like sick play that John can make is when Jeremy goes to play the Steel Overseer, you just Nature's Claim the Springleaf Drum in response, and then Jeremy never has a chance to cast any spells, and you just kill him next turn. And that's lethal with Kicked Vines, and with Kicked Vines and Become Immense, it's lethal.
He's thinking about it.
Nah, he's thinking about animating the Ink Moth. Oh, okay, he's not going.
We're going to take the damage.
Okay, so if we see the Steel Overseer come down, then John has a winning line. I mean, feel free to correct me if you think that's wrong, but the way I see it is you Nature's Claim Springleaf Drum in response to Steel Overseer. Okay, he's just going with this member now.
We tried.
No, this is certainly...
Jeremy's at 18.
This is the conservative line, for sure.
John's going to be at 12?
It's like... I think I would have done this after I attacked. Or, sorry, before I attacked, just in case somehow I needed that mana off a Springleaf Drum. Can't think of a way I would need to, though.
Yep. Jeremy's at 18.
But it might be better just to see what happens first.
Sure.
But yes, this is...
He can't even become immense here.
This is certainly smart for Jeremy to go for this now. And so now we're going to see the Spell Pierce. Just whips the Spell Pierce to the front. And goodbye.
I'm going to watch it whip and watch it nay-nay. That was awful, and I'm sorry.
Oh,
Dismember of his own.
Okay, so, like... The game's about
Miss
to
attack here?
go back to having no threats.
Yep. Jeremy still does have the Steel Overseer.
So a Nature's Claim,
He nature's
claim on this plating and a Dismember on the Steel Overseer leaves John low.
Attacking with Dryad Arbor.
It leaves, yeah, I mean, that's correct. It leaves Jeremy with just a Vault Scourge.
Sure.
You could also conceivably just...
Activating Pendlehaven on Dryad Arbor.
John could conceivably just kill both
That was
creatures.
Spell Pierce at Cracker.
Hmm?
Chat was asking what spell that was.
Yeah, it was Spell Pierce. It was a Spell Pierce that John knew about.
Yep.
But John felt that he couldn't, like, just wait forever.
Jeremy goes to 16 after the attack, opting not to pump.
This is, yeah. Oh, another plating.
Well, that makes things a little more awkward.
I mean, I think you just have to...
Woo!
I think he's pressed into killing the Vault Scourge now and trying to buy time that way.
Yeah.
It just feels bad.
I think you dismember the Vault Scourge.
Yeah, I mean, either one.
Yeah.
Don't... I get mad. Oh, God. I just realized how awkward the Nature's Claim is.
Yeah.
Because he just... Yeah, he's going for the Dismember.
Dismember Vault Scourge.
So this buys a lot of time. Well, maybe not.
Maybe not. He still has Inkmoth Nexus.
I mean,
But he can Nature's Claim the Inkmoth.
I mean, at this point, the Blighted Agent is... Or, sorry, the Blink Moth is faster.
Mm-hmm.
Because, what, John's down to 8 from this?
Fair. John also doesn't have any way to interact now with John's creatures.
Besides the Nature's Claim?
Jeremy doesn't have Nature's Claim.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were saying John doesn't have any.
Jeremy is tapped out.
Oh,
Hierarch.
does John have... What is John's second card?
Its Vines Become Immense. Dryad Arbor.
Bang!
Currently a 2/3.
With an Exalted
Just going to
trigger
take
after that.
3.
13. So,
Jeremy goes to
okay,
13.
John... Sorry, one more time. This is just the Nature's Claim Become Immense. Yeah, sorry, I forgot. For some reason, I thought he had another card.
His Vines, yeah, Nature's
In the
Claim
middle.
Become Immense. He already used the Vines earlier.
Yeah, it's the black sleeves. I keep thinking he has more cards than he does.
Yep, and I think there's fewer. So, you know.
Yeah, so, I mean, John's still not representing lethal next turn. Depending on what he draws, he could string it together, but... Is that a Ravager?
Mm-hmm. That is indeed an Arcbound Ravager.
So, let's see if John can just buy another full turn if Jeremy goes for... I mean, if Jeremy has a land, he could go for a kill by just animating and double equipping.
It's a very aggressive line. I think he's just going to play out the Ravager here.
Yeah.
Ravager Overseer?
Might as well.
Or does he want to represent like a Gal Blast?
I don't know. I mean, like, to die here, John would need more cards than he could possibly have.
So the only card left in Jeremy's hand is Steel Overseer.
Wasn't that like, I think, did he like have the Steel Overseer since turn 2?
Yes, and he hasn't played it.
That's funny.
Nature's Claiming the Arcbound Ravager. Risky.
Yeah, I mean, John's gonna be dead next turn. So, okay, if John... I kind of like this because it incentivizes... Alright, never mind. I was gonna say it would be better to, I don't know what's happening. So if he tries to claim the Vault Scourge, Jeremy's incentivized to sack it to Ravager and not gain life.
He's claiming the Ravager by the looks of it.
Right, I'm saying...
If.
But now Jeremy can just let the Ravager die and get the modular trigger.
Sure.
And then Nature's Claim will resolve. And Jeremy will go up to 15. I don't know what they're discussing. It might have been about how they phrased this interaction. Because if Jeremy said, like, I'll sack Ravager,
To itself.
then he's not going to gain life. I have no idea. Oh, was that in response to the... Was that all in response to the Vault Scourge?
Perhaps.
If I just somehow missed that?
I don't know. Weird. You want to ask the front what just happened?
I mean, I assume it had to just be in response to the Vault Scourge. That's what... Like, what else would they have said?
Looks like...
Wait, what is... Okay, so this is what I was talking about before. So we forced the Vault Scourge block, and now Jeremy doesn't have a lethal anymore. I don't know if Jeremy is at 11 or 15. But yeah,
he's at 11.
I mean, should have gained life off of the Ravager, I think. But it's possibly just like said he's gonna sack it.
Sure.
And this is lethal, right?
Well, second one.
This is the land he could draw that I was talking about 2 turns ago, and he hit it.
So he has 3 artifacts.
Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it's actually 1 short.
He has 1 short.
Yeah,
gonna go to 1.
So conceivably, John can draw lethal.
You can.
I see a head shake though, which indicates that he probably
did not.
So he has a Becomements and a Blighted Agent.
1 turn too late.
Yep. That's going to be game, I believe, with John. It's 1.
So the best that John can do here is swing for 2, make it 3, become immense for 6, and take 9 and put Jeremy down to 2.
Yeah, like, other than putting Jeremy to 2,
That's not enough.
I don't see what he could do. And Jeremy's just going to go to his turn and attack with 2 Blinkmoth Nexus. Nexi.
Yep. I think he's still going to represent.
Yeah, it's like, unfortunately, there's no bluff here because Jeremy can't do anything.
Yep.
So this is just like there's nothing that this is going to accomplish.
Just going to take 3 here. Good to go to 8. And we're going to hope that Jeremy misplays, if you're John.
Like, the Groundswell would have been lethal, right?
Yeah. Darksteel Citadel pumping up the cranial platings.
So...
Going to put
Yeah,
Blink Moth on it.
They just attack with 2 Blink Moths and the game's over.
Yep.
Okay, he's going for, like, the maximum greedy line that might still lose to removal.
And that'll do it.
Right. We have our
Jeremy Izzio on Affinity will win this preliminary Pro Tour qualifier over John Tatian. 2 games to 1.
Alright.
So, what'd you think?
I think John was favored to win that matchup, but Affinity has a lot of really powerful draws, and John kind of had a non-functional hand game 3.
Yeah, Jeremy certainly drew well. Not to discredit any of the skill, but there are some very favorable draws there.
There was like a turn game 2 where John tried to force through a kill when he didn't have it on board, and Jeremy successfully defended himself against that with Spellskite.
Yep. So Jeremy's going to walk away here with $200 cash and an invite to the RPTQ, which will be modern if I remember correctly.
Yep, in December.
John's going to walk away here with $50 store credit and a consolation trophy, which is not a trophy at all. But that's going to wrap it up here from Western New York Gaming. We want to thank everyone for tuning in today. No, there's a lot of stuff you could have been doing otherwise. We appreciate your time. For Ryan Dunn, I'm Tom Davis. Have a great rest of the day. Have a good night.